Here's exactly how I combine top-down analysis along with my favorite scalping strategy during the market opens for crypto trading success. So before we begin trading today, my start time is usually around 8:30 a.m. Central, and I'm playing the opening break strategy, which I believe I covered in one of my previous videos, but if not, here it is. I plan on covering it more. Basically, I'm trading on the 1 minute/5 minute time range, so scalping here in crypto trading on Solana. But we are first going to move to the daily chart before we begin for a top-down analysis. So what we first want to do is start out by marking the previous day high and low candle, which is this purple candle right here. So we're going to go ahead and mark this. Previous day low. And I'm just going to mark this off in white. Use whatever colors that you will be able to recognize this on your own chart and the previous day high. So it's just that purple candle wick to wick there. So once we have that marked out, and we can look at this overall and see if we are in a downtrend or maybe possibly reversing in an uptrend here. You'll see we hit a big resistance area right here. So it's been continually bouncing back and forth, right? On this line here. You'll see this point, here's support here from way back when in December of 23. And we dipped back, we swept this liquidity or made a double bottom, and now it looks like we could be trending back upwards. So we're going to go ahead and move to the 4-hour chart. And we'll see we do have this spot right here, so it could come down and sweep this liquidity further. However, because of our previous day low and high candle, it looks like it's breaking out of that previous day high. Maybe it'll come back and hit this more. We are in a ranging territory. This isn't my favorite spot to play, but you'll see we have a big range right here. Let's just draw the support and resistance lines, but here's top. And here's the bottom. So we're ranging in between this area. It looks like probably matches up over here too as well, with this wick being the direct bottom, making that double bottom. So it could potentially be bouncing back up. It made another double bottom here. And we do have some lower highs being made. As you'll see on the 4-hour, we had starting out with the lowest low that created that double bottom. Then we had a lower high here. Now we created another double bottom, right? From this point to this point on the 4-hour. So we're going to see where it heads next. Let me just delete these. But on the 4-hour, yes, we are in an overall downtrend. However, I do believe we are in a ranging zone just based on this to this. So it could push back upward, downward, upward, downward. Ranges are not my favorite thing to play, but let's move to the 1-hour now. So if we look at the 1-hour, you'll see we're flipping towards more of an uptrend now. So we clearly have a very bullish candle on the 1-hour right here. It was indecisive back and forth, right? On this day that we marked out, the previous day we marked out between this high and this low. Now we have this bullish candle. It broke through that previous day high. It looks like it's trying to retest it again, so it could shoot up more. So let's move down to the 5-minute. And this is what I am typically trading on, the 5-minute and 1-minute. I like to do the opening break range here. So I typically like to hit 8:30 a.m. Central my time for New York's market open to 8:35 a.m. Central and mark those opening break range lines out. So we're just waiting to get started here at 8:27 a.m. Okay, so it is now 8:34 a.m. Central my time. And I am just going to mark from 8:30 a.m. for the opening break. You'll see we actually tapped our previous day high. It's tapped it multiple times, but hasn't yet been able to break it through. Looks like this was around 7 a.m. today. It did that one breakthrough, so will it push higher? It looks like on the 1-minute time frame, we're in an overall downtrend. I'm going to see if it breaks this previous day high or not, but it may just head back downwards to this previous day low because we are in such a ranging motion right now in the market. So I am going to go ahead and mark 8:30 a.m. So this candle here, the high and low of that. So this will be the high at this wick, and I'll just mark this in purple for the 5-minute opening range to the low, which it might be breaking 8:30, 8:34, 35. So we'll see what it does here. So looks like we're making a nice big candle to the downside. Sometimes I like to see this 5-minute close too. You'll see we're at 4 minutes right now, and this candle hasn't quite yet closed on the 5-minute. We also have this green fair value gap, bullish fair value gap right here. So I'm probably going to wait and see over the next 3 or so minutes to see if it breaks through this fair value gap or if it holds it and moves back towards the upside, just because we have been in such a range lately. Okay, so that 5-minute candle did end up closing out. This 8:35 on the 5-minute time frame did end up closing out. You'll see the sellers, this big wick, it hit this fair value gap and then it closed back up. So I don't think this is strong enough price action in order to take a short right now. And you'll see this big bullish candle coming into play here. So we are going to wait and see what happens. So this would actually be our low since this is the 8:35 a.m. candle. And this would be our high because this is the 8:30 high candle. So it didn't really break through enough, as you'll see. That's why it's important to wait for that candle close on that 8:35 a.m. candle mark. So this candle right here, you'll see the sellers really fought back on it and it's pushing back up now. So important to not just enter a trade right away on the opening break range for the 5-minute. So we're going to wait and see if it breaks above this purple line, which coincidentally enough is with the previous day high. Appears to be holding these fair value gaps pretty well. Although it hasn't broken through yet, I think I'm just going to go ahead and enter for a 2-to-1 risk reward ratio. I'll just mark it in here, which is kind of risky, but we will see. So I just went ahead and marked it in on this trade at 150 just because it looks like we're getting a big bullish candle here towards the upside. It was a little risky because we are at the previous day high. So I'm just going to go and look and see where my take profit level should be. So you can either do a 2-to-1 risk reward ratio. So you'd put your stop loss just below the break of this candle here. So here's the 5-minute opening break. Usually you look for a retest at the 5-minute opening break. I went and had entered a little bit early, but it will give you a quantity there based on your account size, and you can simply set it up there at 128.60 if you want to just go ahead and take profit for a 2-to-1 and double your money. I like to kind of wait and see, and I follow the fair value gap method. So you'll see we broke this trend line here. I want to see if it breaks through any of these fair value gaps. We are getting a highlight on our RSI, which isn't great, and hitting some resistant points here. So I'm also going to look the 1.272. So we did hit 1.272. We could be hitting that 128.49 because we do have good bullish momentum. See if it breaks this fair value gap or not. But on the 5-minute, let's see, we haven't quite hit a highlight yet on our SI like we have here. That's a big highlight. A little bit risky, but you could have went ahead and just took profits right here at that 1.272 and called it a day. All right, so now we have a clear break to the downside here. As you'll see, this big downturn. This did not have a lot of price action on it, so I had to get out here. And you'll see this just complete downturn, which could be related to the news here with the optimism index. could be having an effect on the price. So we will go ahead and follow this down. I did enter in a trade around this opening break right here. Got in a little late, but whatever, I'm following it down. Can already be out right now for a profit. However, I am going to follow the fair value gap method and get out on the fair value gaps like I did up here. We are in profit now, about $80. We can choose to get out now at that 1.272, just like we did up here. Or we can keep writing this down, which I think I am going to do because it is so bearish since we made a huge downturn. If it breaks this fair value gap, I'm going to put my stop loss probably right above this candle here on this fair value gap candle. So 126.59. Otherwise, I'm just going to write it down. And that'll be basically a break-even trade if it does break that. But this is the exact thing you're looking for. You're looking for a huge break like this, not something teeny tiny like this, because chances are it can flip on you, especially with cryptocurrency and it being extremely volatile, especially if there's like news, like we have this optimism index going on right now. So it could just wick down, hit this. Trying to see where a previous day low is here. I'm probably going to get out at that 124.18 though, if not now. So this might be a good opportunity to get out because our RSI has a big, huge highlight on it. We also have a highlight on the 5-minute here. So we do have some resistance area as well. So I may have to get out here. Really like it to see it hit that 2.272, but I don't know if it can do it or not. That one's always a little bit harder to hit. So we'll see if it holds these fair value gaps on the 1-minute. If not, we'll just go ahead and get out. So it held that fair value gap on the 1-minute time frame. It's trying to push down further. You'll see we have sellers on the money flow here. And that could be it though. So we got more sellers on. Going to see if it holds this fair value gap. I'm probably honestly just going to move my stop loss here. So I just went ahead and flash closed that out just because we're breaking through this fair value gap here. I do believe it can come down and hit this 2.272. Might have just wicked through it, so I might have messed up there. I guess we will wait and see. We just have this big, huge RSI highlight, which I really don't like to stay in either, as you saw up here. If you see like little price action like this isn't a very good indication to take a long or short. But when you saw this complete downfall and this big long candle, you saw this candle actually fighting. It came down. You could have entered right here, and I entered late on this, but I entered around right here, and it was still around $200 profit. Hit that 1.618 beautifully, as you guys saw there. Came down even a little bit further. I thought it could reach this 2.272. but I guess it just didn't have it in it. So, as you can see, I drew my fib, and you'll see this mark here, this opening break towards the downside, actually lined up with that 0.786. So you do need to watch price action on this, and I do plan on covering in more videos price action concepts. But you'll see this is weaker price action on these candles up here, because it totally flipped on us. And I believe this could have been due to these news events. So always pay attention to the news events as well. It's going to have a big effect on the market, especially during New York opening time. I did play the fair value gap method where I'm just following the break of fair value gaps. So it broke this little tiny fair value gap right in here we sell. So that's when you put your stop loss, or you can mark it out of the trade, because it can totally flip on you and come all the way back up. But that is how you would play the opening break 5-minute range method. As you saw with our money flow here, you saw a bunch of sellers come in at the top as well when we were right here. This is just 2 weeks of price action for this break. When you're seeing this in in real time, it gets tricky. You're going to think this is a big, huge candle, but it's really not. And you can tell by these short candles that it's not really a good break. But this complete downside, we had this candle, and we had this candle as well, indicating another break, and this complete downfall here. This would be your entry. You can easily just do a 2-to-1 risk reward ratio. So let's say you entered right there, put your stop loss above that break of candle, and you're going to aim for that 2-to-1, which I guess we did exactly it. So, but you can place your quantity in here. So depending on your account size, let's say you have a $10,000 account, you can risk anywhere from 5 to 10%. That'll give you the amount quantity to enter in Mexc. So it may hold these fair value gaps and come back down to that 2.272, which would be really nice. So looks like we hit that 1.618. It might be heading down, which is kind of what I was looking for. Try to see if there's a fair value gap on the 5-minute. So yeah, it came up, hit that red fair value gap, and now it's tanking back downwards. I just get nervous with these RSI highlights. A lot of the times when you see this highlight on the RSI, it'll flip on you. So you can see that up here. We had this big RSI highlight and it completely flipped. Here's another example. It didn't really completely flip, but it kind of ranged and took forever and then shot up. Here's another one where it was oversold, completely flipped. So I'm always watching this RSI highlight, and you can actually view, see if I can pull up the settings for you on this. But here are the inputs I use for that RSI, which is a 7 RSI length, close, SMA, 3, 3. Okay. So I think we could have had $400 trade here. I do believe it's going to hit this 2.272, but made out with $200, so not a bad day. And we got a little profit off of here, which is a trade I shouldn't have taken, but I got out in time, so doesn't really matter. But anyways, that is how you play the opening break range 5-minute time frame / 1-minute scalping method with fair value gaps. If you guys do have questions, please let me know, and I will be sure to answer them in the comments. Thank you.